What is up, y'all? Welcome back to Halo's Kitchen, the best kitchen out there, period. Is Chef A. I am back with another video. If you guys seen on my YouTube shorts feed, my TikTok, Instagram, whatever, I did make a short form video promoting this tomato basil soup with my jackfruit, and I put some smoked Gouda cheese on there, some basil as well. It's like a grilled cheese, but I did use like a French baguette or whatever as the bread. I posted that first initially today, and now I am posting a long form video, like a little tutorial. So of course the first thing I had to do was wash my hands. A couple of you guys are asking which soap that was. That is some Dr. Bronner's, the lavender one. I either use that one or I use the baby one as well. Those are the only two I really prefer. As far as the tomatoes for this recipe, I am just using some organic tomatoes on the vine. You can of course use the cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, whichever the smaller ones are called, that you prefer. Because I know like on the Dr. Sebi list, like those are the ones that's actually listed, and that tomatoes aren't actually originally that large. So whatever floats your boat, I did what floated mine for the day. So I got those, got some fresh basil leaves, and something in my intuition told me to get some red bell pepper. Like honestly, I didn't even look at a tomato soup recipe, like an example of it, before deciding to create this one today. So really it was just an intuitive meal that I had created. So right here I'm just like putting them all in a bowl so that I can properly cleanse them. I prefer to do the baking soda and vinegar method. What is it called? The sodium bicarbonate. I might be pronouncing that all wrong, but that's the proper term for baking soda. Just make sure it's aluminum free. I'm not even sure if the brand that I be using is aluminum free for real. It don't say that it contains it, but yeah, I just use the Arm & Hammer one, I believe. So yeah, I added those up in there. I also had an apple in there as well, but of course I did not use an apple in this recipe. I just saved that for later because I was infusing my water with some apples and cinnamon, which I do have a couple of infused water recipes in my book, Raw and Radiant, if y'all are interested in that. So right here, after I properly cleansed everything, I decided to cut up the tomatoes. For this recipe, we are going to be roasting them in the oven. I did roast them at like 425 degrees for about 35 to 45 minutes, I would say. It really depends on your oven and like the strength of it, how strong it is. Of course, every oven is different, but I just cut the tomatoes down into like, you know, that size. They don't have to be even for real, as long as you have a big enough blender to blend out the tomatoes. I would say this was about like 8 to 10 tomatoes for this recipe. It really just depends on how much you're trying to make. I would say this came out to roughly 5 to 6 servings, but it really depends on how much the person eats. So yeah, and like I said, I added some red bell pepper, and you know, I just cut those down into like little squares or whatever, and I lined a pan with some parchment paper. I also have like this thing called a Silky Mat as well. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but it's like a reusable silicone pad that you can also use. And then I decided to also add some white onion as well to this mix, some fresh rosemary, and some seasonings, you know, the ones that are listed up on the screen. And of course I evenly coated everything, coated it in some olive oil as well, and like I said, I baked it. And right here I am preparing the jackfruit for the grilled cheese. Like I said in my last video, I believe it was the kava video that I had made, the kava bowl. I had mentioned that I like to get this brand from Whole Foods. It's not the Whole Foods brand, and I think I might have mistakenly said that in my last video, but it's just where they sell it at Whole Foods. But I like to pick out the seeds, and I, you know, prepare a broth to boil it in before I, you know, saute it or whatever, just to get that sour taste out. I find that the one that I get from Whole Foods is the least acidic tasting one, so therefore it's the easiest to work with. I added, you know, everything that's listed on the screen again, and I just boiled it for about 20 minutes and I let it sit. And right here I'm caramelizing some onions real quick. Honestly, this is a very simple recipe. It's just some thinly sliced onions with some coconut aminos. Yeah, I don't really feel the need to add any like extra sugars or anything like that, because the coconut aminos is already naturally sweet. And after boiling my jackfruit, I decided to use a cast iron skillet to give it a nice char. I also put it under the broiler on high for about, 3 minutes so it can get that extra, char look and taste to it. And right here, this is what the tomato and veggies mix should look like once it's, finished after the 35 to 45 minutes, depending on the oven again. And the garlic, I feel like that definitely should have been cooked longer. I know originally it is supposed to be wrapped in foil, but I tried to limit my use of foil as much as possible. So yeah, it did not like squeeze out as easily as it usually would. But I added all of that to my blender, and right here I'm adding some milk, cashews, and coconut milk. The Elmhurst brand is what I'm using. You can also just use regular canned coconut milk, doesn't really matter as long as it's unsweetened. I added some fresh basil leaves. That's about like 12 to 15 leaves. I would say I really love basil, so I make sure to add a good amount. And I added 1 can of the tomato paste. And originally, after I blended, I just decided to pour it straight in the pot, but it didn't really register yet that, man, I need to like puree this to really get like a silky smooth texture, because again, tomato soup is like very new to me, and I just had like a memory like, isn't this like way more liquidy? It's not supposed to be this thick. So yeah, I'm glad that I did this, because the texture definitely was way better than just having it as is, like straight out the blender. I originally learned this method in culinary school. That was the original way to puree before all these extra machines. But yes, right here I am just slicing up some thin French baguette slices or whatever. I got it from Whole Foods, and I also use the French baguette to make some grilled cheeses. I was gonna use some croissants, some vegan croissants, but I just decided to use this instead. And I added some vegan smoked Gouda slices. It's the BioLife brand. And of course I added those caramelized onions on top. I added more cheese. I added the basil leaves. And then I decided to use my kitchen torch that I had got as a gift. I'm so excited that I received it. Use that to melt down the cheese. But as you can see right here, I am adding some water. Just add a little bit of water on top of your cheese. That is a good way to actually get it to melt better when it comes to the slices. I know some people be struggling with that, but honestly that's what it's really missing, the moisture. So if you add that on top, you'll see that it melts way easier. And I should have did that to like the bottom piece, like that's on the bottom, like facing down on the bread. I should have like done that too as well, because this is just like a harder bread to toast. So that's why I was using my kitchen torch to melt down the cheese too. But I still decided to add it into the skillet and give it like an extra toast on the outside, even though it doesn't really need it for real. But yeah, I still wanted to feel like a grilled cheese grill. And of course I also added the jackfruit on there as well. And the soup is complete at this point. I added a little bit of the milk up in there too, like a milk swirl design. Added some parsley on top, more fresh basil leaves. And like I said on my short form video, this was super yummy. Like, this truly took a lot of growth for me to even consider making, to actually consume. Like, the more that I started to eat plant-based and stuff like that, the deeper my appreciation grew for like foods like this. And the more that I was able to adjust, like, I don't know, like how to really put it, like my mindset just changed. So therefore I was able to do certain things that might have seemed more disgusting to me before, because like I said, I did not like the taste of tomatoes, the texture, or anything like that. And nothing in me would have ever wanted to just blend up some tomatoes and eat it in soup form, until the appreciation grew and until my taste buds started to change. The more I decided to like go through the detoxification process, even though I do go back and forth with that, I'm able to like slowly evolve and grow into consuming more veggies and fruits and actually enjoying them. So yeah, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you guys are interested in any of my recipes, I definitely have 3 ebooks. I have a hard copy book of my first ever vegan book that I dropped too, if you wanted more recipes like this. And let me know if you guys decide to try this recipe and how it turns out. And if you are a fan of tomatoes, if it took you a while to grow into foods like this, definitely let me know and interact in the comments. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I'm actually gonna be off the media for a while. Like, if any of y'all actually got to this point in the video, I'm letting y'all know that I'm actually going on a retreat, so I'm not going to be on my phone for about 10 days. I might be still scheduling content to upload, but if anybody messages me, I won't be able to like get back to y'all until later in the month. But yeah, like I said, be blessed up out here. Stay peaceful, stay happy, detox, be healthy, make good decisions. Love y'all. Bye.